Okay, so you are now live and I made you host again.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. And
Are you
Michael,
gonna,
yep, go ahead.
sorry, who's going to be the TA today?
Kim is going to be your TA.
Kim, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And one more thing, I just want to tell you that, like we have one Facebook post dedicated to you today on our Facebook page. You should check it out.
Sorry,
Let me
just say
share
that
the
again.
link.
I just say that again. Sorry.
All right. So actually, we have a post dedicated to you on our Facebook page. So
Okay.
it's like, yeah. So you should check it out. Let me share the link with you so that you can
Okay.
directly.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll click on it now while I'm waiting.
Okay, you're welcome.
I see. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know it was
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
So okay. Bye bye, Michael. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Hello, Kim. Hello, Kim. Are you there?
Hello, Michael. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, you're right. I've got to think twice on this program.
Yes, but this time, your class is microgreens. Okay.
That's it. Yeah, that is right. Microgreens. Are you going to stay the whole time?
Yes, I will. I can see that we're on live too. So,
Yeah,
okay.
I see that. The link that you see in the chat, it was Harry who came to live stream, and he said, "I'm going to post this on your chat page." So it's a blog about me that gets set up. Have post it. Okay.
Okay.
So it was nice of him to put that there. And apparently Liz is the person that goes around interviewing attendees and guides and everybody and staff, and then blogs about them.
Oh, okay. I'll check that out. I haven't really checked the site yet. So
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, so that was really very pleasant of Liz to start with, and also of Harry to tell me about it. Their class will start on the hour. If you're watching on some TV. Hi, hello, Kathy. Can't hear you. You were far away in the distance, I think. Can you come closer to your microphone? I can't hear you, Kathy, unfortunately. I'm not sure. Kim, can you help her get her microphone up?
her microphone is actually turned on.
Here we
Okay. Hi, Kathy.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy. Great to have you on board. We're waiting for a couple of others, and then we'll start. So what brings you to my microgreens class, Kathy?
Just interested to see if I can do a better job growing things this year in my window.
Okay. Have you tried before?
I have done on my porch before. So I thought whatever I could learn, it would be great.
Right.
Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes not.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I found that too. Okay, so where are you from, Kathy?
Michigan?
Michigan. Okay.
Where are
Okay.
you from, Michael?
From Perth, Western Australia.
Oh my goodness. Hello.
It's just gone 10 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, it's 10 p.m. here.
Okay, yeah. So yes, and I guess my accent is not Australian, as you may or may not know. I don't know. It, I'm not. I'm only been in Australia for 3 years, so and with the lockdown, you don't mix with many Australians, and so I haven't picked up any Australian accents yet.
Oh, so where are you from?
From South Africa. Yeah.
Ah,
I'm born
my
and bred
goodness.
there. Yeah. Have you been to either continents?
Oh, no. I rarely get out of Michigan.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Liz. Hello, Liz. Hey. Yeah, you're connecting to your audio. There we are. Let's. Oops. She's gone. Okay. We just wait a little while for either Liz to come back or one or two of the others, and then we'll get started. Just wait a minute or two, Kathy, if you don't mind. You're the only person on board. Kim is from Get Set Up. She's a TA, a technical assistant or teacher's assistant. And so, hello, Hiroko. Nice to see you again. Yes, okay.
I am a more as vegetarian, and due to this COVID-19, I am spending a larger number of time at my country house where I have plenty of land to grow vegetables. So,
Okay, okay. That's great. That's good. Yeah, I was a vegetarian for 18 years, and then circumstances changed, and I'm no longer a vegetarian. But my daughter is a vegan.
well, I guess most serious challenge here is it is about 1 hour drive north of New York City. But there's plenty of animals. You know, we have deer that destroy flowers and vegetables, and we have wolves, and we have all kinds of wolves, vicious animals. I have to go up against. They eat up, they eat up everything. So I
Yeah.
kind of I don't know how you. So I'm very curious to know how your vegetables are grown, but. I have to protect all those vegetables with a mesh, wire mesh all around. So this
Okay.
type of place I am spending a large number of time right now.
Right, right. Yeah. We don't have to here, but I focus more on getting all my nutrients from microgreens. Okay. And so but we'll talk about that through the class, and because they really are easy to grow and very nutritious. So anyway, let's there comes Liz. Okay, Liz, hello.
Oh, it's late for me. I'm gonna turn my video off.
No, you mustn't. Don't turn your video off. It's so nice to see you. And thank you very much for the article that you wrote and published. Yeah?
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for helping me with it.
This morning when Harry came in we live streaming, he said, "Oh, I'm going to put the link to your article," and so he put it in the chat page. You can see it there. That wasn't me. That was Harry, and yeah, I love the pictures you sent of my wife and I.
I think it's very cute.
No, you really did a good job. So thank you very much. For those who don't know, Liz works for full-time. I'm not sure full-time or part-time. Get set up. Okay. And she interviews attendees like yourselves and people in class, and she interviews guides like myself, and I guess other people too, maybe staff and so on. Eh? Yeah.
Yes, and people who are working in this space, who have interesting things. So today we featured Michael on our blog. So if you'd like to check out the link, I put it in the chat, and then I'll let Michael get back to his class.
Okay, that will be great. I'm looking forward to actually going and reading the whole thing. I just glanced through it quickly now, but thank you very much indeed. All right, so let's. I must introduce you to Kim. Kim is our technical assistant support, and she's there to help you with any issues, any questions, and any microphone or video problems or issues. If I'm, if I don't see your question, then she will draw the attention to, because, I'm just a man and I can only do one thing at a time. So, and you're all women watching here now. So I'm sure you don't understand that. So anyway, Kim is there to help you. So welcome, Kim, and thanks for joining the class.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Okay.
Hello.
Okay. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go through a section of slides. Now, just say yes or nod your head that you can see my screen. Thank you very much. Okay. And as Get Set Up requires, I've got to introduce myself. And my name is Michael Plumstead, as you can see on the screen, and I live in Perth in Western Australia. And as I was telling Kathy, the time has just gone 10 o'clock and in the morning, AM, not in the evening. I think you are in the evening if you're at one of the eastern side. And but yes, as you can see on your screen, I enjoy business and gardening, and I love being a Get Set Up guide. I really enjoy it. And I think in my article, Liz, I think it says that this is my new career for the next 30 years. So, yeah. And I'm 72. Okay, so there we are. Okay, so let's get started. What are microgreens? And I'm sure we've all got our own little interpretations, but they are young vegetables. That's the bottom line. So, Ryoko, what happens is that these grow into full-grown vegetables now, and that's what you were talking about at the beginning of the class. You were seeing these full-blown vegetables giving you trouble outside of New York. Now, here is an opportunity to look at another option than than growing, shall we say, the full-grown vegetables. Okay, so they are just baby vegetables at a certain stage of development, and you'll see that as we go through the class, and you can see it from the image. The image is on the screen right now as well, and so there's nothing special in the sense that special seeds or special this or special that. It is just a phase that big vegetables go through, and you just harvest them at this sort of level as you see in the images now. Okay, and there's an enormous benefit to growing microgreens as opposed to allowing them to grow to full-grown vegetables, okay? And that is the concentration of the nutrients in a microgreen is just so much more than in the full-grown vegetable, okay? And so you can get your nutrients very easily through growing microgreens, and you don't have to, you can grow them in the house. That's the ideal place to grow them anyways, in the house or on a balcony. And they don't necessarily want too much light, but we'll talk about that. And so there are different types of microgreens. The reason I've put this into the slide is not for any other reason than microgreens have a specific taste. Microgreens have a specific aroma, and microgreens have a texture, different ones, all right? And so largely by putting them into these categories, which they do fall in, with gardeners generally, you get a feel of what you want to grow. And by the end of the class, we would have touched on the color and the fragrance of them and so forth as well. So I gave them simple names, like the cauliflower one, the very first one there. I just call it the cabbage family, okay? And because the technical name is so, it's bad. And I wouldn't be able to pronounce it. And so I call this the cabbage family because they all fall into the cabbage family in actual fact. And that'll become obvious when we look at what's special about the cabbage family as we move through the class now, and we look at how things look and taste and smell. Okay. And then the second one down is the lettuce family. I call it the aster family, and there's a good reason for that. And then I go down to the dill, which is very much the carrot family. Okay. And then we get down to the garlics and the onions, the allium family. And then, of course, down here you can see, and you could guess what we would call this if we were looking for a name. It would be the green leafy family. Okay. And then, of course, the gourd family down here. So each of those fall into a particular family, but you do get other things that you can grow, like cereals such as rice and oats and corn and barley and legumes and chickpeas. I particularly like chickpeas myself. They're fast growing, very healthy, but we'll talk about some of those, and beans and lentils. So they're sort of a little bit outside of what I've shown you, but it certainly helps to understand that in families, there's certain common aspects when it comes to microgreens. And so let's move on. I'm sure all of you have sprouted somewhere in your past life or currently sprouting. So I decided just to chat about the difference between sprouts and microgreens. Okay. So I think you can just, by looking at the actual image, you are going to see that on the left are obviously the sprouts, and the sprouts you're going to eat the seed, and you're going to eat that little sprout, that little white sprout that's starting to shoot out, and you eat the whole thing. Whereas on a microgreen, you will not eat the seed. Okay, you will eat the green aspect, and we'll talk a lot more about how to harvest that in this particular class. So it's very important to know that the two are nutritionally also very different. The sprouts are quite high in nutrition based on the seed, whereas microgreens that are grown in another medium like soil and then grow into green leaves would have additional benefits that are enhanced because of the light and the green taking in that light. So sprouts, of course, you don't do in soil at all. And whereas I've said now microgreens do. Light is an issue for both of them, okay, but particularly for microgreens. So I'm going to enlarge on that in a little later in this class. Okay, ventilation is a concern for both of them. They both need fresh air, okay, and not put away in a cupboard somewhere. So that's an important issue for both of them. Although you use the same seeds for sprouts as you do for microgreens, okay, there are far more microgreens that you would eat, basically because certain seeds you wouldn't eat as sprouts because you got to eat the seed itself. Whereas microgreen, you never eat the seed. Okay, so you allow it to sprout and get up, and that's why there's so much more opportunity with regards to the differences between the two. Okay. Are there any questions at this stage on what I've covered so far?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, that's great. All right, that's fine. All right, so why grow microgreens, Hiroko? I think you growing your vegetables, and I'm saying think about microgreens as well, perhaps. But otherwise, you get to I only grow what vegetables I do need. I grow them in pots, okay? And
I would imagine, I live in New York City, Manhattan, in New York City too. So maybe I should grow microgreens in the city. And out in the country, I do something, tomatoes, something.
yes. Yeah, great idea. Great idea. Yes. Or something that takes longer. You see, something like celery, for example, really it grows from year to year. And although I grow it in a pot, it takes a long time to get to maturity. But then when it gets to maturity, you've got it probably for the next 2 years, okay, if you treat it properly. But that's a vegetable. That's not a microgreen. So, but yeah, great idea here, okay, certainly. Okay, so as you rightly said, now in New York, you don't need a garden to produce healthy mini vegetables, okay? You really don't need, okay? And they are vegetables, and they are much healthier than the full-grown plant, okay? And you have all your organic veggies right there ready to pick in your own home. So, if you're going to go and find organic vegetables, then you've either got to grow them yourself, or you've got to go off to some place that sells organic vegetables, because I'm sure you don't want to eat vegetables that have pesticide and insecticide and stuff on them, okay, or in them, okay. And with microgreens, you never, ever, let me say this seriously, you never, ever put any sort of additional nutrients on it or spray it with any insecticide at all, because you'll just enhance the poison that is carried in that. So don't do that, okay? So nutrients are really regarded as a superfood for the very reason that it is a superfood, okay? It's got lots of nutrients in it and very concentrated. And you need these nutrients to build your system. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And so, yeah, it's just a very practical way of getting your microgreens, okay? Getting your nutrients. And it's easy. It's easy to grow your microgreens, okay? And they are so tasty. Each one, as I said earlier, has got its own taste. It's got its own unique. Some of them are quite bland. Others are very sharp, and some are sour, some are sweet. And it's just, they're a marvel in themselves, okay? So the health benefits are very important in the whole process of microgreens. It's one of the reasons that you would go and take the initial trouble of getting what you need to get, and then starting a process for the rest of your life of growing microgreens, is because of the health, okay? A healthy body needs a healthy immune system, which needs a healthy microbiome. Now, a lot of us, especially when you get to our age, sorry, Liz, you're not our age, okay? And I guess Kim isn't either. Okay. And I'm not sure about Kathy and Earl, but I haven't seen. But I assume in a seniors club like Get Set Up, you're a senior. So with as we get older and get to sort of this sort of age in our cycle of living, we take supplements or we eat organic vegetables, but we do not know if we are absorbing them, okay? and maybe you're still getting sick, maybe you're still catching the flus and so on. And so that's telling you that your immune system is not strong. But you ask, why? I'm taking all these supplements. The reason is that your body is not absorbing them. Your microbiome is not absorbing them. And so they just don't work, obviously. So one of the big benefits of microgreens is that it has something called polyphenols in it. And the mere fact of eating a microgreen, if you have, let's say, a leaky gut, or you're not absorbing your things, by eating microgreens regularly, your gut will automatically heal, whether you knew it was needed healing or not. Okay, so it's really powerful, and the polyphenols are one of the issues. You can speak to your doctor, your nutrition expert about that one word. Now, all of them have, all the microgreens have. They're a really rich source of vitamins and minerals and trace elements and enzymes and antioxidants and chlorophylls and protein. So, one of you said that you're a vegetarian. I think it was Hiroko, wasn't it? And so you need protein. So this is one place where you would find your protein. Okay, and so definitely it's an enormous benefit, and it will help you immensely, even when you're not aware of it. But you'll start becoming aware when you're not catching what goes around, because your immune system is fighting it all off. And it's thanks to your microgreens and the antioxidants that are part and parcel of that. Free radicals are our worst enemy in our body, and they cause disease and can damage our cells and so on. So with polyphenols, and you'll find that antioxidants fight these fellows that run freely around your body trying to make you sick. Okay. So what I've said already many times, it falls really under this health benefits, is that it's more nutrient dense than the fully grown plant. Okay, and I've used the lowest time, 4 times more nutritious. It can be 50 times in some instances more nutritious than the full grown plant. Okay, so eating food with the polyphenols in, and just eating across the board, a variety, diversity is an important issue. Okay, you're going to be looking at all sorts of, if you're suffering from sort of diseases of certain aspects, you're going to find that your immune system is going to build up and help you immensely. I mean, if you're likely to get rheumatoid arthritis, start with microgreens, okay, and really get into it. And even Alzheimer's, nutrients are so important for feeding the brain with the right nutrients, okay, so that the nervous system doesn't attack your brain. So, well, you got me on a subject that I got myself on a subject, okay, that I'm really very passionate about. And so the other health benefit is that you don't need much space to be healthy. Okay, you don't need to grow much to be healthy. Okay, but you need to start somewhere. Okay, so where do you start is the next question. And now I thought about what to show you. Now they're literally, okay, allow for the hyperbole, there's literally hundreds of seeds that you could be using. Okay, but okay, we've got some background noise. I don't know, did I make you co-host? I think I did. Thank you. Okay, so we get into a point now where I know that you're going to start growing microgreens. Okay, even if you're as young as Liz. Okay, you don't have to be old to grow microgreens. You don't have to be old to get a healthy immune system. Okay, and it's easy. So I've selected just 8 basic seeds that you could start with. because it always is a question. Now, one of the things that you will find in around the world, North America and in Australia and South America, is you can buy these organic seeds online. All right. And they're generally cheaper because you buy larger quantities than you would go and buy in a shop. If you've got an organic shop that sells any organic farming seed, that's fine. You use, it's not a special seed, but it needs to be organic. Okay. It needs to be untreated. So I thought, where do we start? And these are, they have a variety of textures, the variety of taste, and different aromas as well. So it would be, but you don't have to start here. There could be something that's your favorite, and start there. You know, maybe your favorite vegetable. You know, what vegetable do you like eating the most? Then maybe start with that one, the seeds of that one. So, you know, if you look here on the left, on the top there, the coriander, it's a great source of fiber, for example. But not only fiber, there's manganese, there's iron, there's magnesium, and lots of vitamin C in the leaves as well, and vitamin K for that matter. So, and there's protein as well, but a smaller amount compared to some of the other microgreens in there. And then it's got trace elements of all different descriptions. Of course, we all know broccoli, and we always sort of regard broccoli as a vegetable that we must eat, but possibly we don't like eating, or we can't get our children or grandchildren to eat them. Well, yeah, broccoli tastes different to the actual full-grown plant. And this is a really good source of protein. Broccoli has a lot of protein in it. So, but it also has things like vitamin E as well, which you don't get very easily. And niacin is another one that, particularly if you're suffering from certain ailments like I used to with diabetes too. So it's also a very good source of fiber and vitamin A and C and so forth. It also has B6. So you see, just in that one, I can rattle off a whole lot of extras like calcium and iron in broccoli, but they're all nutritious, and just some have more emphasis in one direction than perhaps the other one. And so that's why I always talk about diversity. Okay. And so you know, if you sort of see yourself for the month ahead, then you would you know, maybe grow different, or you can mix them in one tray. I've just done that in actual fact, and it really worked very well. And then you just harvesting a variety anyway from one tray, but we'll talk about it. Chai, of course, is a superfood as well. And radishes on the bottom left-hand corner there. And not only do those radishes contain A, B, C, E, and vitamin K, they also deliver calcium, iron, and magnesium, and so forth, and zinc. So radishes are quite a powerful, and of course I think we've grown up with radishes, so we've got an idea of what they like. So yeah, so tell me now, what questions have you got lined up to ask me? Okay.
So I have begun to imagine maybe this would be almost like a bonsai type of miniature plant as compared to full-grown tree. That in Japan, we kind of artificially create miniature version of a full-grown, let's say, pine or whatever the case may be. So you artificially create this miniature vegetable, miniature version of all those vegetables, and you kind of stop them to reach full-grown size.
Okay, that's. I'm glad you brought that up, Hiroka.
But I have been understanding, but I may be wrong.
Okay, no, I understand what you're saying. You know, there's a certain art form when you grow in trees and you restrict them, but here you're not restricting the vegetable's growth. Okay, all you do in it, you're eating it before it can become a vegetable. That's all. Okay, you don't restrict it in any way, so there are different reasons you would grow different seeds. Okay. Certainly microgreens for the crunch. Some microgreens have a crunch, and I particularly am partial to a crunch. And you can mix microgreens, and if you've got some that's got a crunch in it, then it just makes the whole experience of eating a little bit more pleasant. And at the end of this class, I'm going to go through ways we can eat them. All right. I've got some photographs of how you could consume, and in a variety of ways it's pleasant. Okay, so certainly pea shoots are really, really good for the crunchiness and the juiciness and the taste. In fact, pea shoots taste just like the pea out of the pod. Okay, you know how pleasant a nice green fresh pea out of the pod is. The actual pea shoots taste like that. So they really are pleasant. And sunflower seeds also, lovely crunch in the microgreen as well. So you've got options. Then besides the crunch, you would also eat and use microgreens for the color. And chefs in restaurants, they have an element of theater about them, okay? Because they love cooking your food and then putting all sorts of microgreen with different colors on the plate so that the microgreens look brilliant on the plate, and so enhance the enjoyment of eating whatever you've ordered from that particular restaurant. So, you can use purple basil, red amaranth, red cabbage, kale, rainbow chard, oriental mustards. Okay, you can use a lot of even the fennel looked beautiful in its own way. Okay, and and then of course the other reason you would choose a seed. Now we're talking about for permanent as opposed to just experimenting. You'll do a lot of experimenting when you start out with, okay, but certainly the strong tastes. Some micros are punchy and strong. If you are looking at a microgreen that you can't miss, then look to the herbs first, okay, if you're looking for strong taste. And so again, you harvest the herbs before they become full-grown herbs, and if you don't get to harvest them all, then you let them grow into full-grown herbs and let them continue growing in pots. Cilantro and basil, for example, have a really strong taste, as do chives and fennel, also have a very strong taste. So as long as you're growing them in the way I'm going to describe for you to grow them in this class, they will then mature in the way that I've described them. Okay, and but there are also lots of microgreens that are bland, that are sort of have all the nutrients, but they're just green and they got no crunch and they don't have a big taste. So those are very neutral, and you can also, use those for just the sake of perhaps you don't like the taste of the others, okay, but you'll get the nutrients, okay. So the first thing that I'm going through a process of growing them now. In fact, maybe before we do the growing, do you have any questions about the seeds and or any comments if you've done some yourself? Okay.
My question is that you get only one harvest. Once it's grown, you eat it once, there's no more.
Okay, that's a very good question, and it's interesting because
I have to be continuously producing, I guess.
Yeah, you actually can get a second and a third and a fourth harvest from some microgreens. Okay, and I'm going to cover it in this slide, and let's get to it now. Okay, is you see the image on the side here, and if you cut your microgreen when you harvest it now to eat it at the table, if you cut it above the first two leaves that come out, okay, and you cut it with a sharp knife or a sharp scissors, and it will then regrow, and it'll give you another harvest. And if you do the same time next time, it'll give you another harvest. A few of them will die in the process, okay, so the harvest will become slightly less, but you can keep on going. But not all herbs, okay, but certainly you're going to experiment with what ones you've chosen and which ones you like particularly, and see if you can. But you can absolutely get a second harvest out of these, okay. And then just going back to the previous point, you can grow them indoors, ideally in a well-lit area. And if you don't have an appropriate place, you can use a grow light. If you're going to put them in the basement and you want to grow them in the basement, they grow well under a grow light. Okay, and the grow lights are not expensive, but ideal is ordinary everyday light, and even a little bit of sun. Maybe an hour or two maximum, and you can grow them in anything you want. Any sort of container that will hold soil, you can grow them in that. And styrofoam, something you bought your vegetables in, you bought your takeaways in, you can use those. Just punch some holes in the bottom, that's all. And please, I did say earlier in this class, but I'm saying it again now, use organically certified seeds, okay, or where they guarantee that they're not at all treated, so that you don't get those poisons in your system, okay. And they like the nutrients, that poison will be more concentrated in the microgreen, and once it's grown out into a full-grown plant and so on, it's no longer poisonous in the true sense of the word, okay. So always try and in anything you're growing to eat, try and use organic, okay. All right, so now we're in a situation where we've got to decide how we're going to grow these. Now, there are lots and lots of options. As you bought seeds, maybe online in your particular country or your county, you can also buy kits. So somebody who now specializes in selling microgreen kits, they all work. Let me just tell you that I've experimented with a few here, both in South Africa and here in Australia, and they all, it's a kit, so it's pricey, and they supply the seed, they supply what you need in order to grow. So if you wanted to start out because perhaps you're nervous and you don't really have gardening fingers, then a kit might be a place to start. But assuming you want to do it the way that I do it, and you can also use soil, but you can also use like mats, and you can also grow them hydroponically as well. I really do not go along with that, because now you've got to add nutrients to the water, so I would hesitate, but you might choose to grow them hydroponically, and you can, right? It's a special mat that you buy, and with water, and it grows. And that if you buy a kit, it comes with instructions as well. So what I do is the bigger seeds. Only the bigger seeds, like the ones I've just done now 3 days ago. What do you call them? There were pumpkin seeds. But any seed that is big, you can soak them overnight, and it just helps the process of germination much quicker. Okay, but you don't have to. Okay, make it clear. Tiny seeds like alfalfa, seeds like that, and chai and others, you don't have to even think about soaking them overnight. But the bigger ones, it just helps the process. So you then fill a container, whatever container you've got, doesn't matter the size of it, doesn't matter, basically if you're growing for one person, you'd use a small grain for two, and so you'd think about how you're growing, and also when you're experimenting, you might grow a few more to see how the experiment goes for you. So you fill a container that has holes in it, and I've got one over here. Let me just show you. Okay. Oops. So yeah, here's one that I used. It's just you can see the depth of it. Possibly can't, I'm not sure, but and then you fill that half with soil. All right, so you've got about an inch of soil, and you use seedling soil that people would usually use to grow any seeds in them, and yeah, even if you're going to grow vegetables and you want to get seedlings first, you would certainly just look at seed soil, because it's very fine. And even if you buy ordinary soil, let's say potting soil, then just sieve it so that it becomes much finer, and use what's left over in your pots for your plants. Okay, so you sprinkle thinly over the top soil surface, and you want to the closer together that you sprinkle, the thicker your harvest is going to be. Okay, and you're going to get more per that tray. Just don't sprinkle them so that they're lying on top of one another. Okay, so they mustn't be. They can be touching each other, or they can have gaps between each other. Okay, and it doesn't matter, but not on top of each other. And then while on top of the soil there, you put a very light watering. Okay, best use a spray bottle. Okay, and a spray bottle, then you won't overwater, because you do not want to overwater your seeds at this point. Okay, and so now you've wet the top, and now depending on whether you use soil or whether you used a mat that people use, or whether you use coconut that's been ground, a coconut shell that's been ground down, which I've also used and experimented with, but I've gone back and I've kept with soil now. If you haven't used soil, okay, the seeds need to be kept in darkness until they start sprouting. Okay, and you can peep every day to see whether they're sprouting or not. And so if you've used a mat or something, then put a board on top of it to get that darkness. If you put soil on, they're already in darkness. They're under the soil. Okay, so but they need to be in darkness for a while. And then when most seeds are sprouted, they now need to get out of that wherever you're keeping them, because then you could actually put them in a cupboard and in the dark. Even if you made soil, it doesn't matter. You can put on top of one another as well. If you've got more than one tray, it doesn't matter. But as soon as they start sprouting, they need the ventilation, and they need some sunny or high light area. Okay, that you've decided where you're going to put beforehand. Okay, so yeah, so that's the when you get to sprout, then you need to make sure that the top of the soil just stays damp, and ideally the bottom of the soil must be dry. Okay, but you don't really know whether it is or not, so you just sprinkle very lightly water on the top. That's why a spray gun right through the process is ideal. After they've sprouted, use just a domestic spray gun, filled with water, and that you buy in the supermarket. So It's very important to lightly water at least once a day, but just feel the top. If it's dry, again. If it's dry later, again, spray it. And but at least once a day. And you can make a habit, if you like, if it's usually dry and you touch it once in the morning, once in the evening, that's fine too. So watering is an important aspect of it, but it's easy, especially with a spray gun. You see, with a watering can, you can tend to overwater, okay? Unless the watering can has a very fine holes in it, then it's fine. But if it's an ordinary type of watering can, or a domestic one that doesn't even have a filter on the front, you might overwater. And the problem with overwater, you've got the holes in the bottom, it needs to drain out. If you do overwater, it needs to drain out and let it go. So yeah, that's about the watering. Now, I've just shown you some pictures here about harvesting. Just take a minute just to look at the different pictures, and you will see what I said earlier, is that microgreens, you harvest the leaves on the top, okay, and you leave the first leaves that are on the bottom if you want another harvesting, okay. So you would then now go to cutting them with a sharp knife or scissors. If you don't want another harvest, you've still got to harvest them above the soil. Don't pull out the seeds, okay? Those seeds and things have got to be thrown away once you have finished harvesting, okay? You don't want to harvest another harvest, then don't throw them away, as in put them into a compost bin, put them into a bin just where you put your microgreens, break it all down, let the roots die and so on, and then you can use it again in time to come, maybe a month or two's time. In the compost bin, it'll be longer probably. So harvest them above the ground. That's the message that's very important, okay? Storing your microgreens. I don't know why you would want to store your microgreens, quite honestly, because you've got it there. You only harvest them when you want it. So if it grows a little bit taller, so what? Doesn't matter. Okay, you'll just have a taller microgreen to eat. There's no ideal time or best time to, you can harvest them from tiny little leaves until, possibly they're even 6 inches tall. I mean, beans anyway grow tall before you harvest them. So, each one has a different sort of growth, and you'll see images anywhere on Pinterest, for example. If you go to Pinterest and you just type in microgreens, and you see the world seems to be, growing microgreens. So for storing them though, if you've cut them properly, and you store them between 2 pieces of damp paper, okay, and put that the damp paper into a lockable thing and put it in the fridge, and they'll easily last a week, fresh as a daisy. But if you don't keep some moisture there, then you're going to have a problem. And don't rinse microgreens until you're about to eat them. So you maybe the day before, or definitely on the day, rinse them, okay? And that just takes off anything that might have been coming from the soil that you grew them in. You just want to make sure that that happens. But when you're storing, make sure there's moisture. All right, so now we're going to look at very quickly at some options of what to do with microgreens once we've grown them. Now we've got to eat them. I mean, tell me that a pizza doesn't look great with a whole lot of microgreens on it. And if that pizza were a healthy one, let's say made with a cauliflower base, you've got an enormously healthy pizza. And but you can blend them into smoothies. What about the smoothie on the left here? Okay, wow. The ideal formula for smoothies would be wheatgrass and broccoli mixed. But again, it's your taste. You add some experiment, but there is a starting point. Even wheatgrass by itself, but wheatgrass and broccoli, I recommend. It just, because wheat grass can have a pretty taste on its own, okay? And I'm saying that negatively, actually, because it just combines well with broccoli or with peas, okay? Because peas tend to be sweet, okay? So you can see, you can even garnish a burger, okay? But what do you see here, okay? What do you see here? On the left, anybody tell me what we've seen, or shall I tell you? Okay.
Pancakes?
A what? Sorry.
Pancakes?
Yes, it's a pancake. Absolutely, it's a savory pancake. Okay, and now you add peas. A pea, well, you can add lots of different ones depending on your taste. The pea tend to make that savory one a little bit sweet. Okay, and what you've seen in the picture is actually a pea microgreens, and so they really fit in so well, especially the stronger tasting ones. You know, if you look at on the right picture here we've got roasted acorn squash, sort of quinoa salad, and the recipe is vegan, Hiroko. Okay, so it's quite safe for vegetarians as well, and it's really fantastic, very tasty because of the microgreens that you mix with it. Okay, and you know, there are just numerous ideas of what you can do. Now, this is an interesting one. Okay, here we have a chocolate tart. Okay, a strawberry chocolate tart, obviously, on the top there, and we've got peas again, pea microgreens on top, because now everything's sweet. The pea microgreens are sweet, the strawberries are sweet, and the chocolate tart is sweet as well. So you can certainly use them on desserts. And here we are on the right, an ordinary spring salad. And it's just amazing that you can actually put anything, whatever you've grown, whatever you've got, it goes into the salad, and you chop other things up into that salad, and it's another way of eating your things. Now, just look at this picture. I mean, look to the left top there. Have you ever seen anything so colorful? Okay. Yes, it's not only microgreens, but it's certainly got a lot of microgreens in, and cut up veggies and so on. And so, yeah, it's if we move across to the right picture here, clearly we've got a soup. Okay. And we can do all sorts of things with we can cook our microgreens in the soup, with the soup. Okay. Or we can feature things on top for additional health benefits and for looking at it. So it's definitely an option, not for you, because you're coming into summer now, okay? And we coming into winter. As I look now, we're into autumn, and it's, thank goodness, the high summer temperatures are now sort of leveled off to something more acceptable. So yeah, so we've got below that, we've got some roast beef tea sandwiches. Sounds very British. I don't think about North American. And yeah, it makes any little snack, just besides being so much more nutritious, it also adds another taste depending on which one you're using. And then, of course, on the extreme bottom here, that's a bittersweet salad. Okay, and wow, what a purple salad it is! Very, very color, a little overdone, I guess, with color, but it's certainly a flavor that you probably would have never tried before. So it's a great place to experiment with, is in your own home. Okay, where nobody's looking and you can't make a fool of yourself. Okay, not that that's important with microgreens. You can never make a fool of yourself, quite honestly. I mean, just look at the picture now. There we've got a wild rice salad. Okay, and oh my goodness, now you you bring in the microgreens, and it changes the taste, and it's packed now full of nutrients, and yeah, it makes a beautiful, healthy, comforting meal. All right, so let's stop with any questions. We've come to the end. I just put in some tips there, which I've emphasized as we've moved along. And the only one I really want to emphasize now are the last two. Skip any fertilizer. You don't put nutrients on your microgreens or in the soil. It comes. Organic soil is very nutritious. And then don't overwater. If you overwater, it's underneath at the bottom of the tray, and it could develop mold. And so make sure that if you do, it's got lots of holes in and it's well drained. So are there any final questions?
Yes, Michael, this is Kathy.
Yes.
Question for soaking like your sunflower seeds or larger seeds. I was told at one point that if you use like a tea bag, that a used tea bag and kind of seep it and use that water, that it would be good?
Yeah, that would be good. I've known other people to use it. I haven't tried it, but I've certainly read about it. And so, experiment. It can be used, and it is being used by other people.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes. So this form of farming is season free?
Is free.
All year round? You can grow them all year round?
Yes. All the year round. The reason, Heroic, is because you're growing them inside your house, okay? And you're not going to allow your house to get too cold like the snow outside or too hot like the sun outside, okay? So you're controlling the temperature that you live in, and that's all they need. That's why you can grow it all the year round.
No wonder they use it for gourmet
Yes.
meals, because season free. You can charge extra fees for off season.
Yes. It's also a lot of people, have a little home business where they grow and they sell to the local restaurants in walking distance of their house, So because the restaurants always want fresh microgreens every day. Okay. So yeah. You can advertise yours on organic. Any other questions? Okay, I'm then going to stop sharing, and thank you for being part and parcel of this class. And I've enjoyed it. I love microgreens. I love talking about microgreens, and I hope you've had some benefit out of this lot. So goodbye.
Thank you very much. Everybody's hiding today.
Yes, everybody's hiding today. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.